Hey Cowboys fans, we've got some big news coming in today, and honestly, it's a bit of a roller coaster. Cooper Beebe, who has been such a key part of the offensive line this season, is now expected to miss anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks due to a high ankle sprain. Yeah, that's definitely not the kind of update you want to hear, especially after watching him hold things together in those first couple of games. The team is now almost certainly going to place him on injured reserve, which, while not great news, does open up a spot for Jadeveon Clowney without needing to make any cuts or releases. So, there's a small silver lining in that sense. But the reality is, we're looking at a few weeks without one of the main pieces in the middle of the line. The hope, according to the latest reports, is closer to 6 weeks. So maybe it won't stretch all the way to 8, but it's still going to shake things up for the upcoming games. Brock Hoffman will be stepping in at center while Beebe is out, and he had a pretty decent debut in his first action this season. Sure, there was that bobbled snap with Dak Prescott at the end of the game, but it's not unusual to see a new player adjusting to the speed and chemistry of the Cowboys' offense. These are the kinds of things that get ironed out with practice, and hopefully Hoffman can hold it together until Beebe is back. The immediate focus for the team will now be to maintain offensive rhythm and ensure that the line stays solid under pressure. Speaking of offense, let's take a look back at that wild game against the Giants. What a matchup that was. There were so many twists and turns, and honestly, it felt like the lead changed hands a dozen times in the final minutes. The Giants had the ball with no timeouts and under a minute left, but somehow managed a nearly 70-yard drive in just 3 plays to take the lead. Then the Cowboys responded, using their timeouts efficiently to set up Brandon Aubrey for that incredible 64-yard field goal to send it into overtime. And overtime itself seemed like nobody wanted to take control at first, but the Cowboys finally got the ball back after an interception, and Aubrey delivered again, this time with a game-winning 46-yard kick. Moments like that remind you why football is so unpredictable and why every single play matters right down to the final second. When looking at the offense over the first couple of games, it's been solid, though not without hiccups. Against the Eagles, there was that fumble by Miles Sanders, and last week Dak Prescott threw an interception. But overall, the offense has shown resilience and capability. CeeDee Lamb bounced back in a big way, surpassing 100 yards yet again and making 9 catches out of 11 targets. Jake Ferguson stepped up when needed, delivering crucial receptions, while George Pickens had some early contributions, mainly aided by defensive penalties, but still showed he could move the chains. Javonte Williams nearly hit 100 yards on the ground, maintaining over 5 yards per carry, which is impressive considering the pressure situations he faced. Injuries to Kevonta Turpin and now Cooper Beebe are certainly concerning, but the Cowboys have shown they can adapt and still maintain offensive production. Now, switching gears to the defense, there are definitely some problems that need addressing. The secondary, in particular, looked shaky against the Giants. Russell Wilson racked up a career-high 450 passing yards in a game that many thought might be manageable. Key players in coverage like Kyler, Elam, Trevon Diggs, and Malik Hooker all had moments where they were targeted heavily and gave up significant yardage. Even Donovan Wilson, despite redeeming himself with an overtime interception, allowed a huge 48-yard touchdown pass earlier in the game. The Cowboys' secondary clearly has room for improvement, and it's something that the coaching staff will need to evaluate closely before the next game. While the secondary struggled, there were bright spots on the defensive line. Kenny Clark, acquired through the Micah Parsons trade, has made an immediate impact. His presence helped stabilize the interior of the line, which has been inconsistent in recent seasons, with Mozzie Smith struggling to make a significant impact. Limiting teams like the Giants to just 84 rushing yards and containing other top-tier backs shows that Clark's addition was a smart move. The front four has always been critical to the Cowboys' defensive identity, and having a reliable force like Clark strengthens both the run defense and the overall pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And we can't talk about this team without acknowledging Brandon Aubrey. This guy is nothing short of phenomenal. His ability to consistently deliver in clutch situations is remarkable, and the combination of accuracy, range, and composure under pressure makes him arguably the best kicker in the league right now. His 64-yard field goal to tie the game and his game-winning 46-yarder in overtime are prime examples of why having a kicker like him is a massive advantage. Teams know that once they reach midfield, they're within scoring range, and that confidence alone changes how offenses approach late-game situations against the Cowboys. Looking ahead at the schedule, there's actually a lot to be optimistic about. The next 5 games could realistically result in 4 wins, depending on how the team executes. Matchups against the Bears, Jets, and Panthers look favorable on paper, and even games like the Packers or Commanders could be winnable with the right preparation and execution at home. Of course, injuries like Beebe's will test the depth of the roster, but if the team can maintain momentum and stay consistent on both sides of the ball, this stretch could set a strong tone for the season. The offense has the talent to produce. The defense has strengths that can be maximized, and special teams continue to be a reliable weapon. Through all of this, one thing is clear: the Cowboys are facing challenges, but they also have the pieces in place to compete at a high level. Adjustments will be necessary, especially on the defensive side and with the offensive line. But the overall trajectory is promising. Watching the team adapt to adversity, capitalize on key plays, and maintain composure in high-pressure moments gives fans reason to stay excited. Now, let's dive deeper into some of the takeaways from the first couple of weeks, and really break down what's happening with this Cowboys team. One of the most fascinating things to watch is how this offense has handled adversity. So far, even with injuries and the occasional misstep, they've shown resilience and an ability to execute under pressure. Dak Prescott has been managing the game well, spreading the ball around and finding the right targets in critical moments. CeeDee Lamb is clearly the centerpiece of the passing game, and seeing him step up after a couple of early season performances that didn't quite hit the mark shows his ability to bounce back and maintain a high level of play. Ferguson and Pickens have provided that extra layer of reliability when Lamb is double covered, or when the game plan calls for intermediate passes. And Javonte Williams' production in the backfield keeps defenses honest. It's that balance between the run and the pass that gives the Cowboys a chance to control tempo and stay competitive in close games. And despite the line injuries, they're still managing to create lanes and maintain some rhythm. That said, the offensive line situation is one that cannot be overlooked. Losing Cooper Bibby for multiple weeks is a blow, and it's going to put extra pressure on guys like Brock Hoffman to step in and perform at a consistent level. The team has depth, yes, but every time a new player steps in, there's a chemistry adjustment that needs to happen, especially at center, where communication is critical. The offensive line is the backbone of any successful attack, and if that unit struggles to protect Prescott or open holes for the running game, it could have ripple effects across the rest of the offense. That's why the next few weeks are going to be such a test for this team, not just individually for the players stepping in, but collectively in terms of maintaining consistency and execution. Switching back to defense, while the secondary has been a major concern, it's important to note that not everything has been negative. The front seven, especially with Kenny Clark anchoring the interior, has been solid. They've shown an ability to limit explosive runs and generate pressure when it counts. Micah Parsons' absence is still being felt, but the rotation on the defensive line has improved and helps mitigate some of the issues created by the secondary. The defense still has the potential to be a formidable unit, but they have to address coverage issues quickly before facing teams with elite quarterbacks. The contrast between a strong pass rush and a vulnerable secondary is glaring, and opponents are already taking notice. That kind of imbalance is something the coaching staff needs to fix if they want this team to make a deep run. One of the key players to watch moving forward is Trevon Diggs. He's clearly not 100% yet, and that shows in certain coverage situations. When he's healthy and fully integrated into the rotation, the secondary looks drastically different. Malik Hooker and Kyler Elam also need to consistently match up and cover their assignments, because at this level, even one breakdown can be the difference between a win and a loss. Against elite quarterbacks, those mistakes get magnified, and the Giants game was a perfect example of that. Still, there are signs that with proper adjustments and practice, this secondary can rebound and start limiting explosive plays while complementing the front four. Meanwhile, the special teams unit continues to be a huge asset. Brandon Aubrey is without question a difference maker. His ability to hit field goals from beyond 50 yards and deliver under pressure changes the dynamic of the game entirely. Teams now have to factor him into their game planning. Knowing that the Cowboys essentially have guaranteed scoring once they cross midfield, that kind of reliability from special teams doesn't just add points. It adds a layer of strategy and confidence that the offense and defense can lean on in close games like the one against the Giants. It's the kind of asset that can turn potential losses into wins, and Aubrey has proven he thrives in those situations. Looking at the broader picture, the Cowboys are also starting to show that they can handle pressure in high-stakes moments. Whether it's a long drive in the final minute or executing a trick play in overtime, the team has demonstrated composure and focus. That mental toughness is often the difference between teams that compete and teams that fall apart in critical situations. While there are areas to clean up, particularly in coverage and depth on the offensive line, the foundation is there for this team to perform consistently at a high level. Even with the injuries and the occasional slip-up, there's a sense that this Cowboys team is capable of navigating challenges and coming out on top. The balance between offensive playmakers, a strong interior on the defensive line, and a kicker who can almost single-handedly decide games creates a unique combination of strengths that opponents have to respect. If the team can continue to manage injuries, integrate players effectively, and clean up defensive breakdowns, the trajectory is promising. The next few weeks are going to be particularly telling. Matchups against the Bears, Jets, Panthers, and even potentially tricky opponents like the Commanders will reveal whether this team can sustain momentum and convert opportunities into wins. The schedule sets up a chance for the Cowboys to prove they can be consistent and adaptable. While it's easy to get caught up in overreaction from 1 or 2 games, the bigger picture is about sustained performance and making the right adjustments game after game. And while the offense has been resilient, the defense has shown that they can anchor games when needed, particularly with contributions from players like Kenny Clark and the linebackers who are stepping up in key situations. It's that combination of high-level talent, situational awareness, and clutch execution that makes this team exciting to watch, even when things aren't perfect. Watching the Cowboys navigate injuries, challenging matchups, and high-pressure moments gives fans both tension and excitement. And that's exactly the kind of roller coaster we expect in football. Ultimately, the story of the first few weeks of the season isn't just about wins and losses. It's about adaptation, resilience, and maximizing talent. The Cowboys have shown flashes of brilliance in nearly every phase of the game: offense, defense, and special teams, with key players stepping up, adjustments being made, and critical playmakers performing in clutch moments. This team has the ingredients to not just survive adversity, but thrive in it. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing with what could be one of the most seismic shifts of the season: Derrick Henry potentially heading to the Dallas Cowboys. While nothing is confirmed, insiders hint that discussions are intensifying behind closed doors. And if true, this move could redefine the Cowboys' offensive identity. Henry, the Titan who has terrorized defenses with his rare combination of size, speed, and sheer power, might be donning silver and blue in the coming months, a scenario that has fans both excited and incredulous. Dallas has long been in pursuit of a game-changing running back, and Henry's name has surfaced repeatedly in whispers throughout the league. Sources suggest the Cowboys' front office is exploring all avenues, from trade negotiations to creative contract structures, to make room for the starback. The speculation alone has ignited conversations across social media platforms, with analysts debating how a backfield anchored by Henry could impact Dak Prescott's game, the offensive line dynamics, and even the overall strategy under Mike McCarthy's leadership. Critics wonder about the logistics, Henry's hefty contract, cap space considerations, and the potential domino effect on Dallas' roster. Yet, proponents argue that a player of Henry's caliber could instantly elevate the Cowboys into legitimate Super Bowl contention, giving them a physical downhill threat capable of controlling games and taking pressure off their passing attack. Some league insiders are already imagining highlight reels of Henry bulldozing through NFC opponents, adding a layer of intimidation that could make a TNT stadium a fortress once again. While it remains speculation, the buzz is undeniable. Fans are flooding forums with fantasy projections, what-if scenarios, and countdowns to the next official word. If Dallas does pull off this audacious move, it won't just be a signing. It could be a statement that the Cowboys are willing to chase glory in a way few teams dare. For now, the whispers of Derrick Henry in Dallas continue to swirl, fueling debates, dreams, and perhaps a growing sense of inevitability that a Titan might soon ride into Cowboy territory. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.